Hello and welcome to Bionicle Uncovered. I'm Bionicle Titan.
And I am Whoopin96, also known as Photofilms.
And I am Tujilokim, former host of the Bio2 podcast.
And I am Vizrak Studios, a random channel. Hello.
Yes, we have Vizorak with us today. He is our newest member, and unfortunately our other member cannot be here again because he's a loser.
That is true.
That's a problem.
Alright,
It's
so
a pity.
this week's topic is the era of Motunui and the adventures of the Toa Metru.
That's true.
Oh, my favorite.
Yay!
And Vizorak's an expert in all things Vizorak related, so he'll be really good for this episode.
And I'm an expert in all things Bionicle, so
Yeah,
We'll work well together.
Yes.
we're all in this together.
no, I am here by myself.
No, I can't. I've never heard that song. I've heard snippets. I've never heard the whole song.
It's okay, neither have I. Alright, so
Alright.
who wants to start saying something before we start?
I want to say hello.
Hello.
Hola.
Well, I think what we need to do is we need to establish what time point do we start at? Are we going all the way back to Kanohi Dragon, or are we starting up with Toa Metru formation?
We are starting
I think we
before
should.
Let's start with the Toa main guy and the Traga that led
Toa-
Motunui before Traga Duma.
on the timeline before Taraga Doom is appointed, the Taraga from a little bit before there and on to the Toa Metru.
Yeah.
That sound good?
Sounds good.
So do we want to? So the Toa guy, yeah. So they all really came together to one big Kanohi dragon being unleashed by the Shadowed One and part of his plot to take over Metru Nui again.
Which the Pirata awakened to stuff. Because I read that.
I think it was Vezok, Avik, and
Azok, Vadok, and Thok.
there we go.
Oh,
Thok,
no, my bad. Those, you're right. It was Azok, Vadok, and
Avik. Because they flipped Avik out of the boat.
Yeah.
Yeah, and they were first formed when Taraga Doom was threatened by Dark Hunters. That's the reason they came together in the first place.
Yeah.
So they wanted to help Taraga when he actually was Taraga before he was Makuta in disguise.
And then later on, after their formation, we have the Toa Dark Hunter War, in which the Shadowed One, after he tried to take over Metru Nui for multiple times beforehand, he finally assembled an army of every single Dark Hunter and just besieged the city.
Which is also when
And here's the
Nikiti betrayed.
Wait. Yeah, and also a side note on the Toa Dark Hunter War. It's also where Toa Jalikim first fought. First had his big adventure. He went there.
Side
Fought in the
Bionicle
war.
canon. I love it.
Yes.
Let's go.
I make my stories, because I made that series canon fit. So it's like he fought in the Dark Hunter War.
Which is pretty cool.
So basically, in the Dark Hunter War, this is where we have the betrayal of Toa and Nadiki later on, and we have Likon's first little snippet of fame after being put in charge, being put in charge of the entire army.
Yep,
By
biggest solo team ever.
Which after that, really the war was in favor of the Dark Hunters because it was all strike from the shadows and leave. So I believe that they took over half of Metru Nui, and then finally Nadiki gets attacked by Lariska and makes a deal with Lariska.
Yeah.
Lariska.
And then after that, I'm really hoping I have this right because I've only read this short story 3 times. So Likon tells Nadiki that there is a shipment of something coming in, but he doesn't tell Nadiki what the shipment is. So Nadiki kind of flaunts him off and says, yes, I'll go check out the shipment without asking where it is. So Likon follows Nadiki to where Nadiki is meeting with Lariska, and while they're meeting, he turns around and after realizing Nadiki is a traitor, Hakan attacks him, and Hakan makes a deal with him that if he brings in and captures all the Dark Hunters walk free, and the Toa get the Makiki Stone. I'm pretty sure that's
Makoki.
Koki Stone, which means keystone. And then as they go into the Canyon of Unending Whispers in Pometru, and Leon springs a surprise army of good. I think it was an extra 100 Toa on them, and the Dark Hunters lose, and ta-da!
Yes.
And then after that, Jellicum goes to an island and needs less of it.
Yes. Okay, so the only known
Yes,
members of the Toa Mangai, we have Lee Khan, of course, Toa of Fire, who was
Tuya Toa of Water.
and Kiri Toa of Air formerly, and Naho Toa of Water, second Toa of Water in the team. And then there are 4 unnamed Toa of Ice.
And
Which
Tue.
were influential in defeating the Kanohi Dragon.
Because
Like
the Kanohi Dragon was
I have my
Toxic
Bionicle
Fire.
Legends book right here.
And
Like
also
a lot of. What's this one? Here's something. Anyway, so after this happened, then we have, but I believe in the last podcast you all went over Tuyet's betrayal, which is she taps into the Nui Stone, and then it's all, that's how it gets broken and sent down to the pit. But that's later on in the Bionicle Saga.
Yeah.
So
spoilers.
So we eventually just have Lee Khan and a few Toa left on the island, and then finally Makuta brings 3 Dark Hunters. I believe it was Devastator, Krika, and Nadiki.
No,
And
it's Eliminator, not
Eliminator, not Devastator. Too many code names. Anyway, and then they bring them in, and then he just picks them all off, including the chronicler at the time, Podan?
Kodan. Kodan is the guy from his adventures.
Yeah, Podan's
I am like
IPS.
I'm mixing everyone's names up today. And then finally we have Leekon, who's the Soul Toa, and Makuta and using Chiraga Doom's form, and yeah,
it's Duma. Jesus.
Okay.
Duma. I was saying Duma.
Guys.
That's wrong. Yeah.
Alright, so we just need to pause. We're gonna pause the recording for a minute, and we'll be right back. Alright, sorry guys, we had to take a brief intermission there, and Jalolcum's hosting the call now, so maybe we'll all sound a little bit better.
Yes, quite.
So where did we leave off?
We just finished talking about the Metru Nui prehistory.
Yes. And now,
And
into the next.
alright.
Now we actually get into the Toa Metru, and we get into all the stuff that people would actually know about.
Well, actually, before that, let's talk about the security guards there, the Vaki.
Yes,
the Vaki.
And how they were made by Nuparu, and he tried to make
the Crawley.
Yes, the Crawley.
The Crawley were the
came
first.
first.
The Crawley were a prototype version of the Vaki, basically, that Nuparu tried to create. And then the Nuparu actually built the Vaki, which became Makuta's army on Metru Nui.
In other words, Nuparu was amazing.
It's a little ironic because later in Nuparu's life, when he was on Mata Nui and he forgot everything, he wanted to make robotic guardians to help protect everybody. But in his past life, he actually did. He just didn't remember it.
Yes, and then he made the Boxor as well, which helped defend the Matoran.
Yeah, he did.
You guys remember that
He's
Out of the
set?
just-
Boa parts.
I have the box art.
He is just an
Oh,
awesome inventor.
Yeah,
He is.
Part was great. I should voice him one day.
Probably should.
I think
Everyone
I
loves
could do good voice.
Niparu.
But
Maybe
no one
like-
loves. Everyone loves Taparu, but no one loves Jolocum.
Oh gosh.
I'm just kidding,
Alright.
Jolocum. I'm just kidding,
Can
Jolocum.
I
We love you.
say that, like, can I just say every Toa Anika and Mari was just, they took all the important Matoran from 2002 and 3 and 4 and just merged them together to make the Toa Anika. Like, they didn't do any new Matoran.
Yeah,
No,
that's,
but I think that's kind of the charm with it, because like that was kind of a sense of nostalgia.
like it's like this. Everything in Bionicle is always connected, so I think they thought they need to keep that connected bond. Because like the
Yeah.
Yeah.
because if you notice, the Bionicle's years, the first 2 or 3 years, were based on the Toamata Nuva. The next 2 years were Metru. The next two were the blanked out for a second, Anika slash Mari.
Mari.
And then we had the Mystica Fantoka year. And then we had the Glatorian, and then Bionicle unfortunately ended.
Not
No!
Or not ended, but like the products were stopped
yeah.
being made.
Product was stopped.
Sorry.
Story's not in.
Bad words.
The only reason that the story stops is because, like, Greg Farshey has a daughter and he's getting entangled with other Lego themes, so he has
Yes.
other things to do
Disney
than write down the
Princess.
story.
We're all gonna
Woo!
talk about that next week.
Yes. Oh yeah. It's like
Yeah.
the newer stories are like my favorites. They're like the best.
Yes.
Well, actually, no. People are gonna kill me for that, but like
Okay,
they're,
okay.
they're all right. But I like them.
We're talking.
All right, we need to get back to the
Yes.
podcast.
Okay, so
So,
Tometru time.
so basically, formation of the Toa Metru. Likon breaks into the Great Temple and steals the Toa Stones and beds them with his energy. And for those of you who have seen Legends of Metru Nui, this was one of my favorite scenes in the whole movie, where Nadiki and Krika come in and just start shooting at him.
And then he jumps
It's
off
like-
the ledge and flies away like a Toa.
Likon was my favorite character.
He was.
He is my role model. He's actually he inspired Jalkim in terms of appearance.
He did. I've always noticed that similarity.
Yeah.
Yeah, wait. Rewind. Back to the
Yes.
Toa main guy. I just saw a chronicler Codon was a Pomatoran, and he went around following the Toa main guy and
That's why he died.
recorded all their victories with the Konohi dragon.
And he died because he went out and was taken out by Eliminator with some of the other Toa
Oh
monsters.
yeah.
Yeah.
And he claimed
I think it
and he,
was Naho.
and he claimed to have invented Akalini,
Yeah.
the sport of Michinui.
Oh, Huki's discs. Huki made some of the best Akalini discs in like the entire city.
More connections
That's cool.
to the future.
Yeah.
So they were so great that they had to ban using Tometsu discs because they were just that awesome.
Yeah.
Okay, so what do you guys think about Bionicle 2 Legends of Metru Nui as a movie comparison to the actual storyline that happened?
Well, we really got to know the Toa more after seeing Mask of Light. That's for sure.
And in the movie, at least for Legends of Metru Nui, it at least did a decent job of putting everything together. And the ending was the ending kind of tied together how it was that they, like, how it ties into the original storyline. It just leaves out the Toa Hordika.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So look, many
Although,
thoughts.
like,
It also leaves out the Vizorak. Well,
Oh
I mean,
yeah.
that's my favorite expression, son of a Hordika. It's like my favorite expression on Bionicle now. Son of a Hordika. You son of a Hordika.
Yeah.
Oh, you son of a Hordika! I just said it with an accent. What the hell?
You son of
Hordika.
a-
Hordika.
So, back to the Toa Metru. So,
Yes.
basically, at the same time, we have Akamu, who's the
Oh, Akmu.
The trader
Yes.
and the Morbizak plant.
In
So-
2008, he was designed.
He was
to
going
be
to be
a
the Toa of Shadow.
Yeah.
He was going to be like Takanuva, but then they decided, oh, we're just going to make Takanuva dark.
Dark and light.
So anyway, poor Akamu gets blackmailed by Nadiki and Krika into trying to get all the Matoran into ambushes and traps to prevent them from telling the future Toa Metru where the Great Discs are. In the meanwhile, we have Turaga Ligon, who gives a Toa Stone to 6 Matoran, Wenwa, Nokama, Matau, Nuju, Onua, and Wakama. Woo!
Yeah!
Yeah.
Now
I got
there's
so
an
much-
interesting Now there is an interesting thing about who was originally destined to be the Toa Metru, which we learn about in Time Trap. For those of you who have read that novel,
I love Time Trap. Time Trap.
I'm holding the book right now. It's so awesome. Anyway,
Time Trap is
Can't touch it through the screens.
what ended up happening was Matsunui put the names of the 6 Matoran destined to find the Great Discs in the stars because he knew Pterodax would take the 6 other Matoran and plant those in Likon's mind. So it was like a double cross. So while Pterodax thought that he was planting the minds of the Matoran who would fail, but he put into his mind the Matoran who would succeed. So that's like one of the only times I've actually heard of Pterodax himself being fooled.
Yeah.
I seem to want to put the name Turaga on everything today. So
Well, he did pros as he did. He was a Turaga for a period of time, I guess you can call it.
But he masqueraded as Turaga Duma.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
during this, we have the Matoran who kind of go off, and right when he gives the Toso to Bakama, Nadiki and Krika attack. Now I'm not sure if how he's captured in the movie is canon or not. Is that canon? Like they hold Bakama over a big molten pool of Protodermis, and like Likon. Okay, so Nadiki grabs Vakama as a Matoran and hangs him over a big pool of molten Protodermis. So he drops it. Even as he surrenders, Nadiki still drops Vakama. So
That's
using
when the
his
teleport goes.
Then we have Likon losing his awesome little skyboard thing, and Vakama goes flying out of his chute.
Which it turns into he gets like a shield of the same style too when he turns into a Turaga.
Yeah.
It's kind of weird because he was never holding a Toa tool.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah, that is kind of strange.
Yeah.
He always had just the air glider board that you think a Toa of air would have, but it's Toa of fire.
Yeah, well, that is his Toa tool. It's just kind of turned into sword.
Large.
He just wasn't holding it when he became a Turaga, so that's strange.
So
Like,
in the meanwhile, we have Likon as still as a Toa dragged off into a prison in the Canyon of Unending Whispers, which seems to be appearing a lot in Pometru.
Yeah.
Whispers is the best.
Yeah.
And then after this, we have Vakama all guilt-ridden, thinking it was his fault, and all the 6 Matoran going to the Great Temple. And while they're there, after some hasty and some rather rude introductions, they all put their Toa stones in the sewer, and bam, Toa Metru.
Yeah.
And at the same time, Likon inside the prison, Likon becomes a Turaga as he gives his Toa power to them.
And he suddenly gets a staff out of nowhere.
Yeah.
Magic.
Okay.
But that's more like creative license, really.
It really is. I mean, you can. I don't know how. I guess that when he was turned into a Turaga, all his body parts were stripped. He turned some of his body parts into a weapon. I don't know.
I'm just saying in general, because like that's probably not canon. That like he probably just found a staff just somewhere.
He probably found some kind of like wooden stick or.
It was a fire staff. It was like a fire staff is what they used to carve masks.
Like
Yeah.
Yeah, he probably found a I don't know, like a bone or a stick or something lying around in the prison, to where he could pick that. Or he was holding that when the Toa Metru received their power.
Yeah.
It's the same kind of thing with like Takua to Takanuva. Takua was holding a Koli stick, and when he became Takanuva, his Koli stick became his staff of light.
Yeah, because that's what happens when like they transform. So like a Matoran, they turn into a Toa, and when they do that, if they're holding an object, then it turns into their Toa tool.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Although
and same applies for Toa to Turaga.
Hey, wait. I don't think the Matoran Metru were carrying anything when they were turned into the Toa Metru.
Yeah, but like they got their
Toa
tools in a compartment.
There was a compartment, if I remember correctly. There was a compartment that opened somewhere in the temple.
Yeah.
That had all their Toas.
Oh, okay. Okay. They didn't show that in the movie though.
I remember Vakama being made fun of after he was like the only thing was left was a disc launcher, and he was like happy with that. And it was like, really, what are you gonna do with the disc launcher, man? It's just like child's play for it's Toa Tool time.
Yeah, because that's like a maturing tool. So it's like, yo.
Yeah.
It's like, yo, bro, I'm gonna kick your butt with just a disc launcher. What do you think of that?
Yeah, except his disc launcher was amazing because it looked cool and
It
it was a
was
jetpack.
I loved
And
his
it had a
disc launcher.
jetpack. It had a jetpack, for crying out loud.
I found it at a Lego store once. The Charlie knows what I'm talking about. The one we go to here.
Yeah. It's a local Lego store started by my guy.
Yes, and so he's got this big bin of parts. And I went in there once, and he had Vakama's launcher with like 3 discs with it, and I'm like, I want this, but I don't have any money, and I lost it, unfortunately.
No.
So
I saw on his Facebook page he had a Terrakava, but when I went in, so he sold it to someone.
So we need to get back to the story because there's a lot to cover.
Anyways.
Yeah, we have like.
So basically, after this, they learn that each of the Matoran are being held captive in some way, shape, or form. So let's not go into detail with how they find out how the Matoran get there. We'll just say that Bozola was trapped on top of a gigantic spire thing over a big lake of protodermis. I remember that Tahuti was locked somewhere down in the sublevels of the archives. I remember Nuri was trapped in some house in a dangerous district of Metru. Eri was trapped inside of a big cage of pieces of knowledge crystals. Akmu was just casually sitting on top of a big statue, like, hey, hello. And Oricon was trapped inside of an abandoned shoot station. And most of these ended up with them having to save them from the Morbuzak.
Which, the thing is, too, you can sort of tell that Amaku was the traitor after he was just sitting there like, oh, hey, what's up? I'm up here. I got put up here by Dark Hunters.
No, Onuwa says, you climb statues for fun. I've watched you do it. And then Akamu runs away and starts trying to escape.
Exactly.
And then he sees, while he goes into the shoot station, he sees Nadiki kind of scuttling along the edge. So he's like, yeah, I'll come with you. And then they discover he's the traitor.
Yep.
So they all go through their own little mini adventures to go get the Great Discs.
Yeah.
I'm trying to remember all of them.
I have Mystery of Metru in my hand right here. This is the only book I have of this series. I have two legends, and this is the only adventures I have, unfortunately.
I remember that the Metru disc was trapped in a force sphere, which is basically like a chute warping around itself into a big volatile ball. I remember the Metru disc was lodged in the side of some knowledge tower. The Metru disc was lodged inside of a fire pit. The Onu Metru disc was in a little closet in the archives, which is like the simplest one to get.
Except the archives are deadly as hell.
I can't remember where was the Metru disc? Where was the Metru disc?
It was inside that Rahi.
Oh, the Dweller in the Deep.
Dweller in the
Deep. It was in its mouth. I remember seeing her. I remember seeing her in the movie do it too. She went down there and it was like down there. She barely escaped in time.
And then there was this like gigantic upside down pyramid, and at the top of that sculpture was the Po Metru disc. And then they have all the discs, and then they go down to defeat the Morbuzak, which is using Vizola's notes. They go down to Metru and they start fighting the big King Root of the Morbuzak inside of the Great Furnace. After this, they start losing and they exhaust all their elemental powers. So Bokama says just stop fighting, and they all get pulled in closer to the root, combine the Great Disc form a big spear around the root, cutting it off in the heat. That dies, Great Furnace collapse, Toa run out.
And that was part of the movie's like canon creative license thing, because they found the Great Disc and were presenting them to the Colosseum. They never used them to defeat the Morbuzak plant. Vakama used it to create the Mask of Time, I believe.
Now,
what's that?
So, remember, while they're in the Colosseum, though, Chiraga Duma denounces them as imposters who captured Lee Khan. So he sicks the big Akalini field things where they have like the big pillars that rise up and waves and big tornadoes and such. Well, because they've exhausted their elemental powers, and to be honest, they're like rookie Toa. They lose and they all get beaten. So he creates a big gigantic funnel, and he captures Onuwa, Wenwa, and Nuju. And then Bakama fires a bunch of discs at a gigantic statue of Lee Khan, knocking it over, scattering on Rocky, and the 3 of them run out, jump in a chute, and go down to Kometru. Now, I believe it was Whoopin who found a very interesting fact about the Matoran who reversed the shoot flow.
Kongu.
Yes.
It was Kongu.
For those of you who remember the movie, the Matoran that was held hostage by Craig and Nadiki was a Lematoran with a, I don't remember the name of the mask, but it was Onuwa's Turaga mask, and it was Kongu. But Kongu was that Matoran.
Onuwa's mask was a Komau. Onuwa's.
He was wearing a Ruru, bro. Or no, like it could.
Was he wearing a Ruru or Komau? So anyway, they get turned around, and then using Nokama's big Hydra blades, they manage to swing onto a knowledge tower. When Mata falls off, Mata learns he has big wings that he can create from his Toa tools.
Yay!
And
cool.
That's probably the best.
I believe I can fly!
And then he hits a big statue of Turaga Duma, which I thought was funny. I
found the translation for that banner before because it had some Matoran writing on it, but I forgot exactly what it was.
So anyway, while they're doing this, the three captured Toa are inside of the prison of the Dark Hunters. On the way there, they try to escape, but then the Vaki Rozak hit, I think it was Wenwa, with their staff, and when they're able to track where they go. So the Vaki basically trick them into running into their own cell.
Yep.
Now here's the thing that's weird. In the comic, Onuwa's holding his Toa tools. He's like, we still have our Toa tools and our diminished Toa power, so we can get out of here. And then Nuju and Wenwa are just like, no, we're just not going to escape. But in the movie, they don't have their Toa tools.
Yeah, their Toa tools mysteriously disappear in the movie and then reappear later. I think. I can't remember.
Yeah.
So then while they're in the prison, this mysterious Turaga with the big helmets on comes out, and after he gets Wenwa and Onuwa to start yelling at each other, which is how
building the tallest tower can only be first with the placement of a single stone.
And everything he's having them do relates to their powers. It's like he's getting Onuwa to want to control everybody. Wenwa has a big visor over his eyes, and he's trying to make Nuju want to move the rocks on his own. So Nuju discovers his mask of telekinesis, Onuwa discovers his mask of mind control, and Wenwa discovers his mask of night vision. So it's actually Nuju who rips a bunch of rocks out of the wall and to stop the other two Toa fighting. And then,
by the power of Grayskull, I have the power!
Bam. And then they start escaping. Now, before all this, we have, while they're in Kometru, Wakama starts getting angry and starts pushing the Great Disc together, and they start merging into one disc. And he learns that he can craft them all into one Great Disc. Well, before all this, he was asked by Turaga Duma to make the Mask of Time, but failed. So, yes.
Need the right disc.
Need the right disc. So then after he creates the right disc, they go down to Metru.
Excuse me.
And then they...
Sorry to interrupt. Sorry to interrupt. I have to leave for a minute. Be back in just a second.
Okay.
So they go down to Metru. They use a Vaki transport. They get caught by Kikanalo Stampede. Nadiki and Kreka are temporarily beaten. They go and they use the Kikanalo to trick their way into the big gigantic place. They go inside, rescue their friends, hook up on another Vaki transport, get attacked by a Lorak horde, use Wenwa's drillers to get out of there, run down to the Coliseum right before the Matoran are placed in the Matoran pods. Right then is when the Great Cataclysm happens.
Yeah.
Oh.
Now, the Great Cataclysm was when Motunui in his gigantic robot form basically turned off, hit the surface of Aqua Magna, flipped over, and laid there. And then that caused the formation of the island of Motunui because it broke his camouflage systems and a bunch of energized protoderms just float all over the place. And then it also caused the pit mutagen, which we'll go over later.
Yeah.
So, then, during all this, we have the Toa escaping. They grab 6 Matoran pods really quickly, and as they're escaping, they drop one, which later is revealed to be Akmu. And after they drop Akmu, they run, and they end up getting entangled with Mavra, who is an old Onimatoran who is crazy. They go through the Maze of Shadows. They get up to Motunui, make some Toa stones, find a place for the villages, go back down, and that's when we learn about the Karzani plant.
Yeah, and going back to Mavra, he actually drowned in that thing of things.
I know I'm seeming to go really fast, but it's like we have like less than 10 minutes and we still gotta go over all the Bizarre stuff.
Oh my god, you're right actually.
So
Bizarre.
after this, so they go back down. The Karzani plant happens. After Karzani happens, they go back down to Metru Nui, and then boom, we have the Vizirac. Oh yes, we have the Vizirac.
Cool.
So their ship crash lands. They're on the island. Now, for those of you who have actually seen the third movie, I'm just saying this just by graphics and the actual story. The third movie is my favorite.
Same here.
Yeah.
It looks nice. I love it.
Actually,
loved it.
like the it was done a lot better in the book because
Yes.
yeah, it was like the movie seemed kind of rushed, but like in general,
It was like in the book, it took them a while. Okay, so they go onto the island, and while they're walking, they start noticing all these strange Rahi and Rakshir running around, and they learn that the Vakai actually most of the Vakai blew up, but some of them were like energized to where they could start speaking Matoran. They could always speak Matoran. They just spoke it so fast, no one could understand what they were saying.
Yep.
So after this, they run down to Le Metru. They go inside of a test track, or the test track. They fight a gigantic entity made of sound, trick it into freezing and blowing itself up. While they're doing all this, a swarm of Kellerak, which, for those of you who know Kyle from my channel, we got Kyle here, the green Vizirac. A bunch of the green Viziracs send vibrations down, and it is Kellerak who capture them in them using their little Rotuka launchers. Here's the only thing about Rotuka. Okay, a Kellerak's Rotuka spinner can actually, is acidic. Like, it will burn through any substance. But why didn't the Toa Metru disintegrate? Can they control what powers are in their Rotuka?
Yeah.
I believe so.
They can kind of because there is secondary options for it and stuff.
So, after this happens, we have them getting taken to the Coliseum where we meet the two main antagonists for this, Radaka and Sidorak. Quick history on Sidorak. Yeah.
Sidorak sucks.
He hails from stealth.
Boo!
He hails from stealth, and all he did was gain credit for other people's adventures and exploits, and then he'd send them off to get killed when they came back alone by just basically leaving her teammate to die, being devoured by the mountain itself, which the mountain was dropped by Mutran, but you already mentioned that. Yep. So she comes back, she gets high status, Mukuda notices her, and then Sidorak makes her viceroy because he hopes of marrying her, so he gains status on Axia. So, and at the same time, she despises his guts, so that's a little weird pairing.
Yeah.
So then we have them being mutated into the Tohordika on little cocoon things suspended from the Colosseum, and finally the cocoons can't hold them anymore, they break. On the way down, the Rahaga, who we all know and love, come down and rescue them, and they drift them off to safety. This is and at the same time, the whole purpose that they're there is to simply prevent the Toa from getting the Matoran. And Rodaka's personal goal is to free Mukuda, which was going to drain the Toa elemental energy out of their dead corpses, and then use that to free Mukuda, but never happened. So I think we can get through this pretty quickly, because there's not much in their tales that we really need to know.
5-minute notice, please. I'm just reminding you of that.
Alright, we're almost
done. This. Okay, so after this we have a little battle. All the major events with the Zyvon and what happened to Kraka, a lot of those things you can go look up on your own. I'll just say this really quickly. Kraka is the one who starts implanting in the Toa's minds that they weren't supposed to be Toa. Then we have some of the other events, battle for the Toa Gate, Tower of Toa, and then later on we have the only real important event we need to go over, other than the battle for Metru Nui, is Vakama's betrayal. So, the movie doesn't do it the right way. Vakama doesn't get captured the night that he's turned. He gets captured weeks after. Their plan was to build airships and get all the Matoran out. Well, Vakama starts taking long solitary walks because he feels like he's a horrible leader, because he cockily led them through the city and he was all like, oh, we're so awesome, we won't get caught.
Yeah.
So Vodaka has a bunch of Isra capture him. Vodaka persuades him to become basically her general, to succeed the king, and then he captures 5 of the Rahaga in the Great Temple as they're searching for Miss of Kitangu, who is a Rahi that can reverse the Hordiga venom.
Kitangu. The
Which tells us
Kitangu.
later.
And apparently, Kitangu was just hiding out in Kometru for like thousands of years, so.
Yeah,
And nobody
that's kind of
just
weird.
And no one noticed him.
Yeah, but they're Komotoran. They just study, so it's like whatever.
Yeah, that's
they,
true.
they have their heads close to their pickaxes. Must have hit them a few times.
So then we have Vakama leaving Norik, leader of the Rahaga there, and then then they go, and Vakama turns the other 5 Rahaga in to gain Sidorak's trust. Then the other 5, the 5 Torhordika and the 1 Rahaga go. They find Kitangu, and they're like, what? Kitangu's best line in the whole movie. It's like, so will you help us? No.
Yeah.
No. Because he says that they don't know the true meaning of the 3 virtues or something like that. So they decide, Kitangu offers them his help, and they go down to the Colosseum, and they start breaking stuff down, and they start battling the entire Vizrak horde, which, when I first saw that scene, I actually thought they were going to win for a second, and then you just see the sheer number of Vizrak, and you're like, there's no way they're going to win.
Yeah.
So during all this, Sidorak and Rodaka start trying to shoot Kitangu off of the Colosseum's wall, but that doesn't work. So they run down, and they start confronting Kitangu directly. Kitangu kills Sidorak, and then Rodaka just kind of walks away.
Yeah, Redacted's that cool.
And then after that happened, we have the Toa get cornered, and Mato during all this fights Vakama and gets Vakama turned good again. And so Rodaka corners the Toa, and then she's all like, "Give me your elemental powers," and then they're like, "Okay, take them." Best of Onuwa's lines ever. Okay, who fired the tickle spinner? Because she starts laughing.
That was Mata, bro.
No, Onuwa. That was Onuwa in the movie who said that.
No, that was Mata.
That was Matau. That was Matau.
Mato.
So, you want to fight, bro? Let's go. Right
But
now.
wait, in the movie, Mato was still with Vakama.
No. He came back, and that's when they fired it at him. And Vakama came back too, but she was just he was standing behind Redacted.
Oh.
And then they're like, they fired her, and then he says like, "Yo, I'm gonna."
And then Vakama's like, "Okay, I'm good again," and then he fires it, and then Orac's like, "No, don't!" And then they free Makuta. Makuta's free.
Yep.
And then we have them. Gitaru heals them of the Hordiga venom, and they go and they get on an airship, and they take all the Matoran, well, more than one airship. And they take the Matoran, and they fly back to the island of Motunui, where they awaken the Matoran, become Turaga, and that's where the Bionicle saga we all know and love in 2001 began. There we go.
That's how Equestria forms.
Alright, I think...
And that's how we go.
I think we can say next time we're gonna talk about the return to Metru Nui, re-inhabiting it, and then Voya Nui. So.
What about Motunui? Have you ever gone on Motunui?
Oh wait, no, we'll go on that. I thought, yeah.
Next month will be Return to Metru. The next month will be the beginning of the Motunui saga and the return of the Toamata.
Yeah!
Yay!
Yay!
And scene. Cut the recording.
Good night, everybody.
Good night.
We all love you.